We officially have a bidding war for Jonathan Kuminga as the Los Angeles Lakers reportedly want him, and even according to some rumors via The Athletic, are prepared to make an offer sometime this weekend. But the Minnesota Timberwolves have also entered the conversation, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, the Sacramento Kings have already informed Zach LaVine that he will not have a role on this team. Well, they cannot guarantee him a role on this team. So does that mean that they should consider buying Zach LaVine out? And if they do, which teams would make the most sense for Zach LaVine? We're going to talk about both these topics plus more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of the Full Court Podcast. My name is Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow us at the Full Court YT on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it, man. So Jonathan Kuminga is one of those topics that it's like it just keeps getting talked about, and I really wish he would just find himself a home in regards to that. But with that said, according to a couple of sources via The Athletic specifically, is that the Minnesota Timberwolves, they want Jonathan Kuminga, but apparently so do the Lakers and the Cavs, so much so that the Los Angeles Lakers have been reported by The Athletic that they are going to be working with his camp, and they believe that a deal could be reached as soon as this weekend. As far as the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Cleveland Cavaliers, we've already talked about the Cavs and how difficult it would be for them to land Jonathan Kuminga. It would have to be a sign and trade, and they really just don't have the capability of doing that. The Minnesota Timberwolves only have access to their $6 million of their taxpayer mid-level exception left, and so in regards to that one, that's what they would have there, right? The Lakers, they have a higher financial offer reportedly on the table that could be as much as $50 million, according to The Athletic. Now, that number came from Evan Sideary as well. If you guys know, Evan Sideary on social media is somebody that you can't necessarily trust, right? But Jonathan Kuminga, keep in mind, he wanted a $20 million contract, and that's just not seeming like it's going to be out there for him. So, does that mean he's going to sign a shorter-term deal to go to one of these teams, hopefully recoup his value, get back on the market in a couple of years? We'll see, right? The report is that the Lakers have a $20 million 2-year offer that was rejected by Jonathan Kuminga before, so they have to up that if they want him as well. So what's going on with Jonathan Kuminga? I have no idea, right? Like, don't get me wrong. Does Kuminga fit somewhat of what the Lakers need? Yeah, I think in a little bit of a way, right? Especially if they're going to offer the most money. Like, he makes sense because, reportedly his camp wants to be in Los Angeles over anything else. That the Lakers have an offer through a sign and trade possibilities in regards to that one. And we know that the Lakers need athleticism. They need youth. They need some explosiveness in that front court. They also need some shooting, which Jonathan Kuminga just does not bring consistently. And I just don't know if Jonathan Kuminga is the type of player that you want around Luka Doncic, or that you need right now around Luka Doncic. PJ Washington was a perfect example of the type of player that can thrive around Luka. But PJ can stretch the floor a little bit more. He's fine moving off ball a little bit more. He's better at setting screens. And I think he's a more active defender than Jonathan Kuminga. And so there's big questions in regards to that, right? Like, the fit there is a question, but hey, if the Lakers, as we know, they're still trying to re-gear this roster around Luka Doncic, and maybe they feel like Luka and Austin Reeves and Jonathan Kuminga could get out in the open court, there's some things that they can do there because Kuminga can bring some value in regards to that. The thing about Kuminga is that he is one of those players that, and I always say like a lot of teams typically need this type of player. And that's a player that can score outside the framework of the offense, meaning that, they kind of have to do things their way when they're on the court. The problem is that Jonathan Kuminga just isn't that good of a player doing that, though, right? Like, and so, maybe he's still young. So there's still more than enough, room for him to grow as a player. I never like to really young players to count them out based off who they've been because they aren't done yet developing yet. And maybe Kuminga, with being on the Lakers and having a more streamlined, straightforward role where what he's going to need to do is going to be he's going to know that right away. Maybe it works out a little bit better for him than it has at some other stops. And if it does, great, right? No harm, no foul in regards to that. So, we'll see if the Lakers end up being the one that can get him. But the Minnesota Timberwolves do seem like maybe the better basketball fit. And there's worse money, but it does seem like maybe the better basketball fit there, right? Especially with the Wolves, they need somebody who can play some of those power forward minutes. Kuminga would bring that same athleticism, some legit size, the ability to put pressure downhill. I think having creators like LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards, I think that his role could be a lot more cleaner in the fact that what he does kind of fits what they need to do a little bit more. You think about Julius Randle and how he was one of those players that had to be on ball a lot. He was Minnesota's kind of second best on ball creator, in the times where Anthony Edwards had to sit. And so now I'm not saying that Kuminga could be that type of on-ball creator, but he can be on ball a little bit more because the Timberwolves have already kind of factored that into their system, right? Now, because they only have part of the taxpayer mid-level exception to offer him, that's what it comes down to. The Lakers can offer more money. They can offer a more long-term deal. And I think that if Kuminga is willing to take a discount for the best basketball fit, maybe on a shorter-term deal that can actually help him recoup more of his value, maybe the Wolves are a better opportunity there for Jonathan Kuminga. I don't know, right? It feels like there's interest from the Timberwolves, but maybe not necessarily the momentum that they would like because you have the Lakers here ready to offer that. And as far as the Cavs, you guys already know, it's a cap trap for the Cavs to do that. They're in a very difficult situation to do it with the Atlanta Hawks kind of already moving on and being already above the roster limit. Also, it gets very difficult for a sign and trade to be worked out anyway. So I don't know what's going to happen here, right? Kuminga it's going to be an interesting piece because I do think if Kuminga goes to the right team, the right situation, and buys into the role that they have for him there, we could be talking about Kuminga very differently than what I'm talking about him right now. Now, that's a big if, but it's a possibility there. And I guess we'll just see what's going to happen. But let me know down below what you guys think in regards to Jonathan Kuminga. Where's the best landing spot for him? Do you think he can turn around the way that he's viewed in regards to that? Let me know what you guys think on that down below. Let's move on to a former Bull and Zach LaVine. Zach has been in an interesting situation. Since he opted into his $49 million contract, which everybody knew he was going to do anyway, it's been reported by ESPN Sacramento, ESPN 1320 of Sacramento. They said this. They haven't promised him a starting job. They haven't promised him X amount of minutes per game. They've been honest with him and said, look, all bets are off if you opt in. So if you're going to do that, that's on you. Whatever happens from then, we understand you're making a business decision to accept $49 million. We also, as a franchise, have to make a business decision with regards to you and what we're going to do at our shooting guard position for the next 5 years. And that does not include you. So if it includes you part of the time this season, that's one thing. But it doesn't include you by game 20 or game 40, then it doesn't. We can try to find you a place to play. That is, first of all, shout out to the team being honest, in regards to it. Like, LaVine is a flawed player, but I do think LaVine gets a bit of a bad rap, right? In Chicago, he was thrust as the number one player, and we all knew that he was never going to be a number one player on a winning team. But I do think a Zach LaVine that can be a complementary player to a team that already kind of has their foundation, already has their star player. I think there's a lot of value still left in Zach LaVine in that specific scenario. It's just that it seems like teams have kind of, moved on. The Kings are moving on, which the Kings should do, right? They can move Domantas Sabonis, things like that. So it's raised the question now is that could the Kings buy out Zach LaVine? Now, LaVine is not motivated to give any money back on a buyout. Keep in mind, in a buyout, the player agrees to give back some. They have to agree to give back some, or the team would have to just buy him out of their full amount. Would the Kings be really willing to pay Zach LaVine? Because you probably still have to pay him 40 of the $49 million, to just have him go away, open up a roster spot, which could give them flexibility. If they do decide to move Domantas Sabonis, having an open roster spot and stuff like that, it's a possibility there, right? When you look now and what the Kings are prioritizing with their young core, they are prioritizing Darius Acuff. They're prioritizing Keegan Murray, Nick Clifford, Maxime Reynaud. Like they're prioritizing those players, and that can leave players like Zach LaVine out. Now, Zach LaVine just doesn't have the trade value. That's how he ended up in Sacramento. He doesn't have the trade value, right? And so, at this point now, a buyout's probably the best likely option for Zach LaVine. And so if they do buy him out, which teams make the most sense? I have a list here, right? Number one, the Miami Heat. This is my favorite fit here for Zach LaVine if he gets bought out, mainly because with Giannis there, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero gone, they have no shooting and no floor spacing on that team at all. Zach LaVine can do that. And I think you're putting Zach LaVine in a place as well where he has a defender in Davion Mitchell. He has frontline defense with Bam and Giannis. This team in the Miami Heat, they need scoring. They need shooting. They need somebody else who can be a half-court shooter for them. And even though you're hoping that Tim Hardaway Jr. and Andrew Wiggins, they can repeat what they've done shooting-wise before, I think if you're able to add Zach LaVine to this Miami Heat team, and then, of course, you don't have to rely on like Ryan Conwell too much, who's a rookie that they just drafted, who I do think has a lot of upside as a shooter long-term as well. I think that this is the best basketball fit, in my opinion, for Zach LaVine is the Miami Heat, right? I think that it just makes sense for him. I think it's the one that, that he can go to, he can even compete, and he doesn't have to take a long-term deal. You're giving money back. So, take a one-year deal with the Miami Heat and then get back out on the market and see what it has for you in a year from now. I think that's huge there, right? Of course, the defensive is a problem, but I think Miami, the defense is going to be their strong suit. Number 2, the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors probably need Zach LaVine more than they need anybody. They, struck out on all the talent that they wanted to add this offseason. Being able to add Zach LaVine to this team, I'm not saying that it saves them or anything like that, but it does give them another shooter. It does give them somebody who can play off the creation that other players do have and provide some more spacing out there. And so I think it would be exciting. I think that, again, Zach LaVine and his ability to be a 3-level scorer can help that Golden State Warriors team out a lot. It gives them a secondary shot creator. It gives them athleticism. It gives them a player that can put pressure on the rim and a player that is pretty damn good off ball as well when he's put in those situations. I love the fit for Zach LaVine there with Golden State. Next up, the Miami Heat. The Orlando Magic. Wrong, Orlando team or Miami team. But a Florida team. I can't get my shit together. The Orlando Magic have size, they have defense, but the thing that they've lacked for so long is shooting. Now, Desmond Bane did wake up as a shooter as that season went on and got more like himself, but if they can add another consistent shooter and downhill scoring threat, I think that he gives them explosive scoring. I think he gives them a lot of what they need. And again, at this point in Zach LaVine's career, he needs to learn to play off players. So playing off Paolo, playing off those other players could actually benefit him quite a bit. I like the fit here of the Orlando Magic, and let's see what happens there. Next up, the Los Angeles Clippers, right? I think that once the Kawhi Leonard contract is final or trade is finalized, that they can try to add, because we've already heard that they're interested in DeMar DeRozan. They seemingly want to add another veteran. So I do think he gives them some perimeter scoring, can help add some structure around their young players. But you have Keegan Murray there already. I don't know if that really fits a lot there, but I'm more so going off of the Los Angeles Clippers and the rumors that they've been in and players that they've targeted. Zach LaVine kind of fits that as well. The LaVine and Ingram pairing could be nights where they absolutely outscore teams on that alone, right? Then next up, the Detroit Pistons. I love this fit for Detroit, right? He gives somebody who can thrive off the driving lanes created by Cade Cunningham. He can help punish the double teams at times when Cade Cunningham is double teamed as well. He improves the spacing of that Detroit Pistons team also, and he'll give them another scorer that when Cade does sit, Zach LaVine can be their primary scorer if you need him to be. Now, him and John Collins, if they bring back Jalen Duren, listen, I think this is a really good fit. Now, that means that they would have to face my Chicago Bulls 4 times a year, but the Bulls are a rebuilding team anyway. So there you go. I think Zach LaVine can help that Detroit Pistons team quite a lot. And then the last team on the list that I have here is the Denver Nuggets. I think that he helps a lot with that. Of course, they're trying to figure out what's going on with Peyton Watson and stuff like that. But when you look at LaVine and how he can benefit off a player like Jokic, the cutting, when Jokic is in spotted ups, his ability to attack 2-man games. I think a 2-man offense between Zach LaVine and Nikola Jokic could be really fun to watch and can add a dynamic that Denver Nuggets team has been missing for quite a while. Now, the Denver Nuggets finances do make it a little bit different, right? So it would have to be a bargain buyout, meaning that if Zach LaVine doesn't give a lot back on the buyout and wants to join a team that puts him in a position to actually compete and contend and doesn't worry about maybe just take the vet minimum, the Denver Nuggets can offer that to Zach LaVine. And it'd probably be 1 year, but it'd be similar to Russ and what Russ did for the Denver Nuggets. But I think he's kind of more equipped to do the off-ball things a little bit more there. So those are the teams that I have. Let me know what you guys think on that down below. That's going to do it for today's show. I want to hear you guys in the comment section, though. What do you think about the future of Jonathan Kuminga with any of those teams? If Zach LaVine is bought out, do you think he's going to be bought out? And if he is, which team do you think makes the most sense for Zach LaVine if bought out? And then, let me know that all down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at The Full Court YT on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything basketball related, and I'll catch you guys the next time I feel like making an episode. Probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
Been a presentation of the Break Media.